Welcome back to Dunstan Kiwi Bred. Our Roca retired from the racetrack last season without reaching his true potential. Perhaps it's the next stage of his career that will see him shine. Everything about our Roca happened quickly. From the urgency for Westbury Stud boss Russell Warwick to find a replacement mare to fill his breeder's nomination to Fastnet Rock, to his fleet-footedness on the racetrack and rapid rise to Group 1 racing, and finally the late deal to secure the stallion for stud duties on the Westbury roster for 2015.
He ran in a maiden at Taupo his first run, and 41 days later he's running in the Caulfield Guineas Prelude and then the Caulfield Guineas. So he had a very quick introduction to top quality racing, and he didn't shirk his task. He just went on and performed with distinction at wherever he raced.
After winning his maiden at Taupo on debut, El Roca was pitted in stakes company at just his second start, producing this performance to fittingly win the listed Westbury Stud Challenge Stakes at Ruakaka.
But El Roca's in charge at the 100 metres, got away by 2 lengths from Gobi Ranger and all decked out, and it's El Roca 2 from 2 for Duplessis.
That was enough to convince Cambridge trainer Trent Busserton that El Roca was worthy of a campaign targeting Melbourne's best stallion-making race, the Group 1 Caulfield Guineas. Second in the Caulfield Guineas Prelude in his Australian debut, beating subsequent Caulfield Guineas winner Long John, El Roca was desperately unlucky in his target race, held up and only getting racing room when the race was effectively over.
He got severely interfered with in the race, the Caulfield Guineas, and you know, it was one of those stories of what could have been, and that is the stallion-making race of Australia. I think if you've got a colt that can win the three-year-old Caulfield Guineas. But he went back in the autumn. He absolutely cleaned Dissident up in the Eskimo Prince, which really was a great signal of his ability. And third in that race was Romantic Touch, a Group 1 winner. He came out, had a bit of an interrupted preparation thereafter, and missed the Hobartville run, and he got beaten ahead by Terra Vista against the older horses, and then he's gone on to the Randwick Guineas and tooth and nail struggle with Dissident and gone down by a nose. So yeah, look, there weren't many better, and he lined up against them all. I'm sure we didn't see the best of him, and I think if you take a line through the form in the Randwick Guineas against Dissident, you know, behind him that day were Criterions and Bowbands and, you know, some of the absolute elite stars of the Australian turf, and then he went on and raced against the older horses in the George Rider, and you know, he ran third in that behind Gordon Lord Bryden and Speediness, but once again Sacred Falls and that calibre horse all came in behind him that day in a race like that. So I don't think there's any denying the horse's ability, and I guess one of the fortunate things for us, we've been able to secure a horse with Group 1 ability that probably didn't win a Group 1 race.
Russell Warwick and Westbury Stud have been central to the El Roca story. Warwick sourced Rubiton mare Ruby Mill for breeders Peter Newsom, Mac Whitehouse and Tony Wales, and sent her to Fastnet Rock, then raised El Roca and prepared him for sale at Westbury Stud after he was weaned in Australia.
We've got clients to live in Australia, and they were keen to breed to Fastnet Rock, and I found a mare that suited him, so they purchased Ruby Mill, and she was subsequently sent to Fastnet Rock. She had the colt, which is of course El Roca, and once he was weaned, he returned to Westbury and was reared through our draft here, put through, at which time is when Trent Busserton purchased him off us and syndicated the horse, and from there on we've followed his racing career with great interest. Obviously right from day one there was no question he had well above average ability. He just had a fantastic turn of foot, high cruising speed. We saw him win a 1,000 metre trial race at his first start at Taupo. He ran 58 seconds that day and beat Atlante. You know, he came back 2 weeks later and won the Westbury Challenge Stakes at Northland, and beat a good field that day. And as I said, 41 days later he's running in the Caulfield Guineas Prelude. So you know, he was just a horse that you wouldn't have planned his preparation to go that way, but he took what was dished up to him and he delivered. And I just think that a recognition that he could compete at Group 1 level in Australia against the Dissidents and the Sacred Falls and those style of horses, and yet you can go for him for 7,500, makes him a very attractive package.
Having history with him as a young horse and as the son of super sire Fastnet Rock, El Roca was always going to be on Russell Warwick's radar as a potential stallion candidate for Westbury Stud, and without a glamour Group 1 win to his name, he was affordable for the Karaka farm. Stud owner Jerry Harvey took a 50% shareholding and the other half was syndicated. The stud then came up with an innovative marketing strategy.
We came up with an initiative which I think it's one that's worked well for us, that we've come up with an initiative where we put his fee at a reasonable rate at $7,500 plus GST. We've introduced a fast track rewards scheme that if you go to him this year and pay the fee, and you go again next year and you go at half price, and then after that you get a free service in the third and fourth year. So it works out about $2,800 per service over 4 years. And for the smaller breeder who, it's not easy going out there at the moment, I think it gives them an opportunity to go to son of Fastnet Rock, who is all the rage at the moment, and to a horse that had serious Australian Group 1 form. He's going to get a fantastic book his first year, and even though we only announced the purchase late in June, support's been very, very good for him, and a high calibre of mare too.
An imposing stallion, El Roca is still in the infancy of his stud career, but looks set to flourish as he settles into his new role.
He's fitted into the system and the routine really well, and any of the boys can handle him. He's not hard work at all, so really, really pleased with the way that's gone. He takes nothing out of himself, no stress. He walks to the barn, he serves the mares, and back in the paddock. So we're looking forward to him being able to serve probably 100 to 110 mares this year.
El Roca has all the hallmarks of his sire, and it's that Fastnet Rock factor that has Russell Warwick so excited about his new stallion.
I think one of the things that really came to light in the last 12 or 18 months has been the success of Fastnet Rock, and I was really keen to try and secure a son of Fastnet Rock. And when you looked around what was available and the ability that El Roca had, we honed in on him, and we've followed him extensively for the last 12, 14 months. Now Hinchinbrook and Rothsay and Strike are all doing their job, but more importantly, Smart Missile and Fox Wedge about to come out and already kicking off at trials in Australia. I just think that the next dynasty in Australia is going to be Fastnet Rock, and we feel extremely proud to have one of his sons standing at Westbury. Hopefully he can emulate 10% of what Fastnet Rock's done, and we'd be extremely happy.
We look forward to watching El Roca as he progresses through his stud career. Son of Fastnet Rock here at Westbury Stud with it all in front of him, but he was a great racehorse as well.
Absolutely. The quality of horses he was racing against just really speaks for themselves.
Still to come on Dunstan Kiwi Bred, we talk with Group 1 breeder Marianne Simon about the breeding of Turn Me Loose, and take a look at this week's International Animal Health Products Pedigree of the Week, Volkstock and Barrel.
But right now, as we get to know some of the characters behind the scenes in the thoroughbred breeding industry, I caught up with Grant Hunt, who's farm manager at Westbury Waikato.
Russell approached me 6 years ago and asked if I'd be interested in running the farm down there. So we pretty much came to terms and moved on down, and we started down there in September of 2009. And we've just pretty much started from scratch there. The infrastructure was already there, and we employed people from there on and built the farm up from there. Thankfully, got a lot of good staff around me. They make me look better than what I maybe am, and we go on from there.
And how many sort of horses are you overseeing there on the property?
We normally foal about 150 to 160. 95% of them would be Jerry Harveys, a few clients. So we have 150 mares, we have 150 foals, so we turn out to about 300, and that doesn't include the yearlings and so forth.
Tell me a little bit about the history of the farm in the Waikato.
Yeah, the farm was started by Glen Orchard, then went on to Westbury Stud, run by obviously the Tavistocks. A couple of horses have come off there as presidents, and Tavistock himself.
Highlight of the job, what really gets you up in the morning?
Getting the mares in foal, that's probably the biggest highlight and so forth. Getting those foals out safe and sound. Obviously a lot of our foals come to Auckland here, so that's pretty much the main thing for us. And then we do the yearlings there as well. We do 60 yearlings down there, maybe 40 of them will go to the sales. And we just hopefully do the best that we can and keep Jerry happy.
What advice would you give a young person trying to get into your role?
Listen, we all have to start at the bottom. At 16, we first started with yearlings, and at 17, I was doing stallions. So it was a case of go to breedings, go to foalings. You might not be needed at them, but you've got to do the groundwork and get in there and get your hands dirty, muck out boxes, so forth like that. That's the only way you can get to where I am, and do the hard work.